Is Trump's old dream of having a U.S. aircraft carrier named after him finally about to come true? Could a black World War II hero lose his carrier name, clearing the way for Trump to receive the honor instead? Did Trump want a carrier named after him since 2020, and could the Navy now make that ambition a reality? Is America considering removing a black war hero's name from a carrier, reigniting a fierce debate over military honor? Could Doris Miller be replaced by Donald Trump, making history with the first U.S. Navy ship named for a sitting president? Doris Miller fought for America at Pearl Harbor, but could the aircraft carrier named for him now receive a different name? From renaming ships to redesigning carriers, is Trump's personal vision for the U.S. Navy growing ever more visible? Donald Trump could get his name on a U.S. carrier, but a World War II hero may pay the price if the Navy changes the planned name of USS Doris Miller. U.S. Navy officials are reportedly mulling a possible renaming of the future USS Doris Miller, a Ford-class carrier currently under construction in Virginia. The Ford-class carrier could instead be named after Donald Trump, according to ABC News, replacing a name chosen during Trump's first term in 2020. Such a move would mark the first U.S. Navy ship ever named for a sitting president, breaking with long-standing naming traditions for commissioned vessels. Three sources said discussions over renaming the carrier have continued through the summer, although the Navy said it had no announcement to share. Doris Miller was a cook aboard USS West Virginia during the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, serving in a racially segregated U.S. Navy. He helped move his mortally wounded captain to safety, acting under enemy strafing, bombing and fire during the attack on the battleship. Miller manned an anti-aircraft gun without formal training, taking over a weapon normally unavailable to black enlisted sailors at the time. He was credited with downing at least one Japanese aircraft, a notable feat during an attack in which only 29 of roughly 350 enemy planes were shot down. Miller was awarded the Navy Cross for his wartime heroism, the Navy's second highest decoration for combat valor after the Medal of Honor. He served while the U.S. military remained segregated, when black troops often faced discrimination and were not fully recognized for their contributions. Miller was killed aboard USS Liscum Bay in November 1943, when a Japanese submarine torpedoed the escort carrier during the Battle of Macon. The USS Doris Miller carrier was named for him in 2020, when the Navy announced the tribute during a Martin Luther King Jr. Day ceremony. It would become the first U.S. aircraft carrier named for a black American, marking a major milestone in the Navy's historical recognition. It would also become the first U.S. carrier named for an enlisted service member, honoring a sailor rather than a president or senior naval leader. However, Miller could receive an even greater honor despite the possible carrier name change, as Defense Department officials consider upgrading his award for heroism. Pete Hegseth recently recommended upgrading Miller to the Medal of Honor, according to ABC News, sending a memo to Congress supporting the recognition. The U.S. Navy is also reportedly exploring whether another warship could carry Miller's name, with destroyers more commonly named for Medal of Honor recipients. Interestingly, Trump publicly floated the idea of getting his own carrier back in 2020, expressing disappointment that no U.S. aircraft carrier carried his name. Trump made those remarks after the Navy had announced the Doris Miller carrier name, saying that perhaps he would receive the honor one day. Renaming a planned or commissioned U.S. Navy warship remains a relatively rare step, although the Navy has changed names linked to Confederate figures in recent years. The possible renaming comes as Trump pushes his personal vision for America's carriers, including proposals to alter their design, equipment, and visual appearance. The U.S. Navy is studying major Ford-class design changes that could align future aircraft carriers more closely with Trump's stated aesthetic preferences. 7 current and former U.S. officials described the review to the Washington Post, saying the Navy is assessing substantial changes to its newest carrier design. The Navy is reviewing whether to move the Ford-class island forward on future carriers, shifting the command structure nearer to the ship's central section. The multi-level island houses the ship's command center and air traffic control functions, making it a critical structure for directing both naval and flight deck operations. The Ford-class island sits toward the stern, unlike the more central placement seen on older American carriers that Trump reportedly wants future ships to resemble. Trump reportedly wants future carriers to look more like American warships from World War II, despite the modern configuration being designed for operational efficiency. Moving the island farther aft frees additional deck space for aircraft operations, increasing the usable area around the carrier's launch and recovery zones. The aft island gives crews more room around aircraft catapults, helping personnel move, prepare and position aircraft with fewer space constraints. This layout reduces the time needed to position aircraft for launch, allowing the carrier to generate sorties more quickly during sustained combat operations. The design improves flight deck operational efficiency, giving crews a more flexible working area for managing aircraft, equipment and launch preparations. An aft island reduces turbulence around the aircraft landing area, creating clearer and more stable airflow as fixed-wing aircraft make their final approach. It also helps improve safety as aircraft approach the carrier, reducing hazardous airflow conditions during one of the most demanding stages of naval flight operations. The same island relocation idea was pitched and studied during Trump's first term in the Oval Office, but it was not adopted for the Ford-class program. The previous review found that such a redesign could cause major program disruptions, with officials warning that relocating the island could cost billions and create significant delays. On August 13th, Trump also ordered the Navy to plan a return to conventional steam catapults for future American aircraft carriers. The order would replace electromagnetic launch systems on future U.S. carriers, reversing a major technology shift introduced with the Ford-class design. Trump's memo favored proven, reliable, and affordable technologies and ship designs, framing the proposed change as a push for greater dependability. Returning to steam catapults could also cost billions of dollars and deepen shipbuilding delays, because the system would require extensive engineering changes to future carriers. Notably, USS Gerald R. Ford, the lead ship of the new carrier class, took 17 years to complete from construction start to its operational deployment. Trump has repeatedly shown a personal interest in the look and design of U.S. Navy warships, extending beyond aircraft carriers to his broader fleet vision. In 2025, Trump unveiled a new Trump-class battleship concept for his proposed Golden Fleet, promising heavily armed nuclear-powered surface combatants. The Ford-class review comes as the U.S. Navy continues expanding its overall capabilities, even as it confronts cost pressures, industrial limits, and delays across shipbuilding.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.